Well, I like big balls, and you like big balls. And as AC/DC has told us, the biggest ball of them all, the one that generations of movies, the entire oeuvre of John Hughes, has told us is the pinnacle of your high school days, the prom. It doesn't get any better than that, right? But let's do something different. You're gonna sit out here in the audience tonight and hear a lot of people tell stories. So let's reverse that. How about I tell your story tonight instead of telling my own? Let's talk about your prom. Your prom was a magical evening, right? Guys, you had a great tux, didn't you? You're looking good, sharp-dressed man. I had a great tux, mostly. The tux rental place lost my shoes. And I gotta tell you, I'm gonna take full credit for starting the look that the kids are wearing nowadays, the full tuxedo and high-top Reeboks. Waited at that tux shop for 2 hours because they swore that my shoes were on the next truck from the other store. After 2 hours, I had to draw them a map to my house and say, "You're bringing the damn shoes. I got other things to do." Went back to the house and, well, in your story, I'm sure you spent a lot of time locked in the bathroom before the prom getting ready, right? I would have. The weekend of our prom was my grandparents' 50th anniversary party. And we had, no exaggeration, 22 people staying at our house, which made getting into the bathroom a little difficult because, there's a baby that needs to be changed, and grandma needs her insulin shot, and there's another baby that needs to be changed. And by the time I got in there, forget hot water. So like a lot of you, I took a cold shower before the prom. Got ready, got to the car. I'm sure a lot of you in your story are in a big limo or something that you rented just for the evening, and not, say, your mother's poop brown Plymouth Reliant. But I gave that car a hell of a wash and wax that morning. Drove out to pick up my date. Now in your story, you know how it goes when you go to pick up your date. The guy is standing there inside the front door, and the girl appears at the top of the stairs. A gentle breeze blowing through her hair. She descends the stairway. Her mother is crying softly. Her father is taking pictures. I pulled into my date's driveway, and she pulled in right behind me because she was late getting home from work. So I had to sit there in my tux and Reeboks for an hour talking to her parents while she spent the hour in the bathroom, I'm assuming with hot water. And then, of course, her parents took pictures, went back to my house. I digress. Let's get back to your story. How many of you have a really great picture from your prom? You were looking good in those days, right? I'm sure you all have a scrapbook somewhere that's got that prom photo. Now, her parents already took pictures. We're back in my house, and my parents took pictures. And then my grandparents took pictures. Then my sisters took pictures. Aunt Linda took pictures. Aunt Karen took pictures. Uncle Barry took pictures. To this day, I hate posing for pictures. I can't imagine where that came from. But the photography done, we headed off for the prom. Your prom, I'm sure, was at some fantastic venue, a banquet hall, maybe the gym at your school had been decorated or something, someplace really cool, and not, let's say, the Detroit Yacht Club, which is the only time you'll ever hear the words Detroit and yacht mentioned in the same sentence. But we rolled up to the Detroit Yacht Club, went inside, and your prom, you had a great band, didn't you? There was like a really cool band kicking out the jams, all the best dance tunes of the day. Okay, if not, maybe you had a really good DJ. We almost had a really good DJ. We did have a really good DJ, except that nobody on the prom committee had thought to check that the DJ's actual on-air shift at the local radio station was at the same time as the prom. So the DJ made a cassette tape of himself and sent that along to be played at our prom. Cassette tape did not take requests. And then, of course, you sat down at your prom, sitting there with all your good friends from high school. It's the best time of your life. You're going to sit there and have a good meal. We had Salisbury steak. My date was a vegetarian. But you're sitting there with all your friends having a good time. In my case, my date was sort of looking out the window, sadly. And as she got sadder and sadder, I finally said, Christy, what's wrong? And Christy looked back, and there I was with all my friends, and my date said, I might be pregnant. Now, we were friends from work. There was no romantic involvement. I was not involved in this situation in any way. But still, it's the prom and all my friends are there. Now, in your story, some of you may have gotten your dates pregnant on the prom. That's none of my business. After the prom, you probably had a good after party. We tried. We were going to get together and go out and hang out on the Detroit riverfront, where we lasted about 5 minutes before the police picked us up, threw us out. There's a curfew in Detroit. We were suburban kids. We didn't know that. And finally, your prom ended when you dragged yourself back home at some late hour, got into bed, and slept till dinner the next day, which is what I tried to do until I found that there were 2 other people sleeping in my bed. And all that was left in my house to sleep on was the L-shaped couch, where I got 15 to 20 minutes of the best sleep of my life. So that's the story of your prom. A magical evening, a lot like you've seen in Molly Ringwald movies. And that's the story of my prom, which was a bit more like Sissy Spacek and Carrie.